All righty. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Today, we're going to go ahead and set our lineups for our high-stakes teams. Also going to do live fantasy Q&A, any start-sit questions you have, and player comparisons if you want to pull up and compare some players that you're thinking about starting in your lineup. For today's discussion, we're going to be using our trusted app, fantasyfitness.io. We'll be using this to look at players, use the data to help guide our decisions, and no better tool to do that than Fantasy Fitness. Fantasy Fitness is an app that I've been working on for about a year now. It uses advanced metrics and on-field production data to derive 3 unique scores for each player. If we take a look at Tyreek Hill, we'll see what I'm talking about. So the Fantasy Fitness app provides 3 important algorithms. It provides the Fantasy Fitness overall score, the Fantasy Fitness talent score, and the Fantasy Fitness team score. The talent score is an algorithm that attempts to measure a player's talent regardless of team environment. And the team score is an algorithm that attempts to measure the player's team environment and its conduciveness to scoring fantasy points. And then we take the talent score and the team score and we combine them together and weight them appropriately. And we arrive at the overall score. Using Tyreek Hill as an example, we'll see that his overall score comes in at 9.1, the number 1 overall wide receiver in fantasy. Then we can look at his talent score and see that he grades out 9.13. He is, based on the data, the most talented wide receiver in the NFL, just ahead of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors. And then the team score, we look at his team environment and assess its value, and then derive the team score. Combine those together and come up with the overall fantasy fitness score. Now we have an hour for this show. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about your fantasy football teams. In the meantime, until we get some people trickling in, that's my alarm, and you should have an alarm too. At 10 o'clock my time, 12 o'clock noon, we are setting our lineups. So it's important to give yourself plenty of time to digest the injury data, and then set your lineups. So with that in mind, let's go head over to my FFPC, and we're going to go ahead and set this lineup, starting with my dynasty team. Let's go down the list and see what we want to do here. Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert. That one seems pretty straightforward. Lamar against Dallas. Bounce back game. He's played well so far, and I don't see any reason to think that'll change. So we'll go ahead and leave Lamar in the lineup. Alvin Kamara, an obvious start here. And then at the RB2, Jaylen Warren or Jeff Wilson, or we have Shipley, Estime, Ray Davis, Khalil Herbert, or Tyler Algier. I don't trust either of them a ton, but I think we have to play Warren here. And then at the wide receiver 1, we have DJ Moore. Wide receiver 2, Rome Odunze. Plugging in Zach Ertz as a stopgap until we get back TJ. I mean, we also have Dulcich here, but I'm not ready to take that kind of risk. Now, Jeff Wilson should get some playing time today. Still don't trust Hopkins. I kind of want to see it 1 week, although yeah, I mean, with Skylar Thompson out, they may rely more on the running game. They may also struggle. It's a road game in Seattle. He could get games scripted out very easily. So I'm almost tempted to play Herbert over him, although he doesn't have a lot of volume either. I could just pull that out and roll the dice with I think Hopkins would probably be the play here. Let's go look at the team. Allen, Mixon, who's hurt. We'll see if he gets that updated. Ford versus Warren. I'll take Warren in that scenario. Olave versus Moore. It's a push for me. Obviously, I give him the edge with Adams. Give him the edge with Kelsey. I definitely have the edge there with Tank over Cooks. So how do I get that edge? Do I just go Hopkins there and hope Hopkins gets it going? I think that's probably the play. I mean, I think you got to get Hopkins in. Hope for the best. Want to see what Cowing does this week? So we're going. Houston D. Start from the top. Lamar Jackson, Alvin Kamara, Jaylen Warren, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Zach Ertz, Tank Dell, DeAndre Hopkins, Jason Myers, Houston defense. That one's set. Let's bless it. Let's go get that W. Berlin Ballers. We go Kyler, Bijan, Rashad White. I don't think there's much discussion there. Don't trust Carolina right now. Trey's not playing enough. Shipley's not playing enough. Gibson already played, so we're going to play Rashad White. Hope for a bounce back game there. Looks like he's got a good matchup against Denver. I like it. A.J. Brown is out, so Devontae Smith is in all lineups. He's probably a wide receiver 2, maybe a wide receiver 1, back end. 12-15 range. DJ Moore, you got to play him. Keenan's out. Better defense to exploit here. Let's hope Caleb finally gets it going a little bit. So DJ Moore, and then Trey McBride to stack with Kyler Murray. That's going to be nasty. We do that each and every week. And then Jaden Reed is playing, but Malik Willis is getting the start. So I just think until we get Love back, there's no reason to risk it. I have Calvin Ridley. I've traded for Calvin Ridley in the offseason for this exact reason. And the depth is there. I should have started Jaden Reed week 1. I didn't. This was the week. That was the week to start him. Now, until Love gets back, I think we go ahead and park him, and we have the depth where I might be reaching for a Wendell and going Wendell or Reed. Now I get to say, Ridley. We'll take that chance. He's the focal point of the offense. So, this is why I traded for him in the offseason. And I should play him and see if he's worth it. He's basically my 4. Jackson's my 3. DJ Moore's my 1. Devontae's my 2. My 1, my 2, my 3, my 4. McBride, Koo, Houston. Let's bless it. Go get that dub. My opponent, Dak versus Kyler. Jordan, Kyler. Better at the running back position. Ooh, you could give him the edge at those first 2 wide receivers, crushing him at tight end. And I like my flexes better than his. Koo, Houston. Should be close, but definitely like what I'm seeing here. Also did pick up Michael Penix off the waiver this week for $4, so that's a stash. Okay. The Breckenridge Ballers. Let's take a look. Jalen Hurts. We start him. Ford. Definitely nervous about Ford here. Rice must start. Lamb must start. Andrews must start. Marvin Harrison must start. Terry. Cowing. Foreman. I think we play Akers here. And I think that's the lineup. So we go Jalen Hurts, Jerome Ford, DeAndre Swift, Rashee Rice, CeeDee Lamb, Mark Andrews, Cam Akers, Marvin Harrison, Younghoe Koo, Indy D. Let's bless it. Go get that dub. This is my Superflex Best Ball. Jalen Hurts, Trevor Williams. Then we got Dobbins, Braylon Allen, DeAndre Swift, Tajay Spears, Marshawn Lloyd. Wow. Audric Estimate, Kamani Vidal, Rasheen Ali. Definitely light there on the running backs. But Dobbins is hitting, Allen is hitting, Swift hasn't hit. If Spears hits, got the backup for Vidal, so that thing just keeps going. Ali, so interesting. But here's where all the power is. Neighbors, JSN, Waddle, Moore, Yoshi Voss, Addison, Holt, Romadunze, Downs, Jacob Cowing, Tucker Kraft, Greg Dulcich. That's going to kill me this week. Lutz and Reichard, Minnesota. I am currently middle of the pack, but I'm only 10 points out of first. Let's go. Bless it. Get that done. Alrighty. Let's take a look. All right, here, let's take a look at what some are saying. Let's set this lineup. Patrick Mahomes. He's my only quarterback, so Patrick Mahomes. Devon Achan. Brian Robinson is my RB2. While we wait for CMC to get back. But Brian makes a nice RB2. Achan is holding down the fort. I think we've got to play Rice here to stack. And then we might as well bring up Worthy and show the double stack if we're going to do it. I'm not going to play Wendell this week against this defense. I don't think this is where you play him. He's a great wide receiver 6, but you play him where it makes sense. Polk already played. Hopkins, interesting, but not trustworthy at this point. Dalton Schultz. I'm not playing him over Bowers, and I'm not playing him over Steele or Waddle. So definitely a downgrade for Waddle. Rice and Worthy is sort of high risk, high reward. But I like that play. I think that's fine. Don't love it, but with Rice, you're just sort of buying that offense. You hope your guy hits. And then Steele in the running game, soak up those carries too. So I'm basically just buying the Chiefs this week. And I'm going to trust that they get it done. I've got Bowers to pull myself up. I snuck in Tampa there against Denver. Think that'll be okay. And so I think this is the lineup. Just check it again. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments about your fantasy teams. Trade questions, start sits, player comparisons. That's what we're here for. Dalton Schultz. No, not a start right now, even though it's a good matchup. Just not enough volume. Cowing. Hopkins. I could see how Hopkins gets there. I just don't know if I want to play Hopkins over Steele. I don't know. think I'm okay waiting for Hopkins in this scenario because I have Steele. If I didn't have Steele, I'd probably play Hopkins, but Steele over Hopkins, you play Waddle, Bowers, Worthy, Rice, Robinson, Achane, Patrick Mahomes. Let's check the scoring. Okay. Gonna be close for sure. Give the edge to Patrick. And then Robinson, Achane, Rice, Worthy, Bauer, Steele, Waddle, Hopkins. I think I can win. Let's go get that dub. Bless this team. Go get that dub. Now to my 2-2 team. Caleb or Deshaun Watson. I don't know how Watson gets there, but he gets there. I think I'm going to play Watson over Williams until I see it. I need a higher floor. I can't be doing 8s and 11s. And maybe this is the week he gets it. I don't know. Hope so. But until then, Watson stings. But 40 rushing yards, 20 rushing yards. I mean, there's a floor there. Definite floor there. Numbers went up a little bit. I think he's bad, but I don't know. I'm going to play him. Brees. Travis Etienne. Then you go DJ Moore. Tank Dell. Brock Bowers. Xavier Worthy. Dalton Kincaid. Tyler Bass. Probably could have done a better job planning that defense. Can't trust Spears right now. Don't really know what Wilson is. Benson's not playable. Ronnie Vidal is out again. Wendell Robinson. Michael Wilson. Christian Watson. Yeah, nobody here is really startable. So this is the starting lineup. Live scoring. Giving me the edge. Let's go get it. And to the third team. Kyler Murray, always. Von Achane, always. Jahmyr Gibbs, always. Devontae Adams, always. DJ Moore, always. Zach Ertz. Dobbins over Ridley. I think so. Brian Robinson over Ridley. Damn, this team's pretty deep. I've got Cooper down there. Eight targets and 9 targets, but just 2 and 3 catches. So that's a little scary. Don't really trust that situation quite yet. Happy to have him on my team, though. I'm going robust RB on this one. I have Calvin Ridley there, too. Let's go look at the projections. Yes, one's close, but that's what I'm going to roll with. Bless this team. Go get that dub. Alrighty. Now to my co-managed teams. Josh Allen, check. Gibbs, check. Javonte against this defense, check. Pittman's in, so we're playing him, check. Dell, hoping for a bounce back, check. Bowers, check. Eckler, Adunze, and that defense. Let's go get that dub. Should be in decent shape. Who are we getting back on this team that's out? Where's Cooper Kupp? That'd be nice. All right. 2 more teams. Home leagues. And we're off. Ooh, that Rams defense is pretty tough. But it does not have a lot of targets. I don't know how that's going to go. That is the worst defense. A-Chain, check. ETN, check. Rice, check. Hill, check. Damn. Dulcich. Well, we got sniped in both these leagues, apparently. Let's go take a look at that Fab report. There it was. Could have had it. Didn't. Now we're playing Dulcich. See how that goes. Tony Pollard, check. Jackson Smith and Jigba, tough matchup. Check. Santos Houston. Carson Steele. No. 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 All right, that's the roster. Purdy, Achane, ETN, Rice, Hill, Dulcich, Pollard, Smith and Jigba, Santos Houston. Bless that team. Go get that dub. And last but not least, in the FFPC 350 Fantasy Pros Championship, Mahomes, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Marvin Harrison, Tank Dell, Dallas Goedert, Carson Steele, Xavier Worthy, Myers, and Chargers D, not David, Ray Davis, Wilson, Corum, Garendo, Samuel, Wilson, Polk, Cowing. Nice. All right, that's the roster. Bless the team. Go get that dub. Now, this week on Monday or Tuesday, we're going to do a review of each of these teams. So take a look for that episode coming up early in the week. Now, from here, we're going to jump over to my Yahoo Home League. And let's check this out. Richardson, that's an obvious one. Brandon Ayuk. I don't have another. I do have Baker. Baker versus Denver, but I got to play Richardson. Yeah, he's been good. Solid. Very, very solid. All right. So Ayuk's a smash this week with all the injuries. Neighbors is just a smash in general. Gibbs. Got to play Gibbs. Dobbins. Tough matchup, but I think he's going to enjoy that matchup against Pittsburgh. Expect that he'll do fairly well. Excuse me. Brock Bowers, number 1 tight end in fantasy football. Smash. I'm looking for a little bit of a bounce back here from Tank, and he's got a lot of good matchups. This being a decent one. Jacksonville coming up. I simply think Tank Dell is good, and regression will run its course. Xavier is good too, but he's a rookie. I suspect he'll do okay, but I'm going to trust Tank Dell a little bit more. And then Pollard, I think he'll be the focal point of this offense. Keep milking Pollard while you can. So that lineup is set. We're going with Richardson, Ayuk, Neighbors, Gibbs, Dobbins, Bowers, Tank Dell, Tony Pollard. Bless it up. Go get that dub. Now we go over to my other home league. This is my 10-team league. Let's go check it out. Kyler Murray, check. Bijan Robinson, check. Gibbs, check. Debo is out, so he's going to get replaced with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Brock Bowers steps in for Sam Laporta this week. DJ Moore. And then I guess it looks more like this. DJ Moore, Rashee Rice, Brock Bowers, J.K. Dobbins. I think you got to go JSN here, right? You just been playing better. Submit. This is probably my most important matchup of the week. Playing longtime friend and coworker. Shout out Patrick. You're going down this week, brother. If you're listening. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Bijan versus Kyron. I got to give the edge to Kyron. Gibbs versus Hall. I got to give the edge to Hall. Moore to Ayuk. Got to give the edge to Ayuk. Rice versus Flowers. Got to give the edge to Rice. Kincaid, Bowers. I'm going Bowers. Dobbins versus Diggs. I'm going to go Dobbins here. And JSN versus Robinson. Man, that's a push. But he's got a good team. He's got a damn good team. Texans D. I like Dell. I do. Wow. Let's go. This is going to be a close one. That's for damn sure. Let's look at some of these other matchups here. Okay, she needs to get Pacheco out. Otherwise, Hill, Harrison, McBride. Interesting. Stay Hungry versus Hammer Time. Stroud, ETN, Mason, Higgins, Olave, Ertz, Ford Worthy. Nice. Golden Trojans. Mahomes, Henry, Harris, Evans, Ridley, Fermi, Jacobs, Chase, Hertz, Eckler. Oh, she's beat up. Holy shit. Eckler, Spears, Smith, Wilson, Ferguson, Pittman. And then Rainforest Cafe versus Old Guys. Old Guys is 2-0. Versus Rainforest Cafe at 2-0. You got Burrow versus Cousins. Give me Burrow by a nose. Jalen or Jay Taylor versus Kamara. Oof. Give me Kamara. Achane versus Montgomery. Give me Achane. Jefferson, Adams, Lamb, Nico. Cook. Go get that dub, Daddy. Come on, old guys. Alrighty. Well, let's take a look at some player evals and stuff here in a minute. And we will get this going. So, again, appreciate y'all being here. Happy to go through this with you, building the YouTube channel, building the app, building. That's what we're doing. We build. Go ahead and take a quick break here. Gotta just take a quick break and then we will continue on with any questions, comments. So this is the Fantasy Fitness app. It is the app that I've been working on for the last 10 months, as I mentioned. Let's see. Give me just a second here. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on mute. Be right back. Holy smokes. She's not doing that. Let's go. Guess we'll save. Add a player. Running back. Damn, it's weak out here. Can she go grab Akers? Somebody actually went out and grabbed Cam Akers in this league. I didn't think so. Williams. Let's see what other upgrades can be made to this roster. Yes, put in a claim. Braylon Allen to drop Cole Kmet. Drop Gus Edwards, sorry. RB for RB. Confirm. And then any upgrades at the wide receiver position. Jalen Naylor, Wendell Robbins, Newman. There really just isn't. Be picked over. One of the questions coming in is Trevor Lawrence or Brock Purdy? He says, Trevor Lawrence has been bad, but Purdy has no one to throw to. Yeah. I say, yeah. That's a tough call, but I would probably lean Purdy. And ask him what he thinks. Ooh, Njoku. That's his timetable. That's an upgrade over Cole Kmet when you do come back. Got McBride, Njoku, Cooper, Jaden Reed, Cam Akers, Amir, Tyreek Hill, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride. That's probably what you do for now. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look. It's crazy. Stuff out there. All right, folks. Well, we're 15 minutes until kickoff. Stick around for probably another 10 to 15 minutes. Take you right up to kickoff, answer any questions you have, comments you may have, criticisms you may have. That's what we're here for. In the meantime, I'll teach you guys a little bit about fantasyfitness.io. As I mentioned, fantasyfitness.io is a player research tool and fantasy draft and in-season management tool to help you dominate your fantasy football leagues. Plain and simple. We like to win. I hope you like to win. I like to win. I hate to lose. And a few years ago, started playing competitive fantasy football on platforms like the FFPC, platforms like Underdog, and didn't do so well. I had trouble with some of, just understanding talent ranges, understanding player profiles and stuff like that. So I went out of my way and I built fantasyfitness.io. This is a 1-year project that now has really helped me win my leagues, dominate my leagues. And why is it useful, you might ask? Why am I winning my leagues now, you might ask? What is it doing to help you win your leagues, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. First thing I've been able to do is discern a player's talent now from a player's environment. That's a very important thing when you're trying to understand fantasy football and you're trying to make good choices. Why would understanding a player's talent profile versus their team environment be useful, and having data to help sort of discern that versus just, oh, I think he's this or he might be that? That doesn't work. Let me just say it like that. It doesn't work for most of us. We don't have the brain capacity to think about 300 players, their talent levels relative to one another, their team environments relative to one another. It's just too much information to try to store in your brain. So I set out to try to assess a player's talent and a player's team environment and assign scores to those two different metrics. And that's exactly what I did. And now when you go to a player's page, you can see if a player's talented, if they're in a good team environment, both or neither. In the case of Breece Hall, he is the second most talented running back in the NFL. And I don't think there's a ton of debate about that. To be honest with you, I don't think there is a ton of debate about that. Reason being, the data backs it up. And that's where I'm going with this, is the data backs it up. What is the data telling us? The data is telling us that Christian McCaffrey is the most talented running back in the NFL when healthy. Breece Hall is the second most talented running back. Bijan, number 3. Taylor, 4. Saquon, 5. Alvin Kamara, 6. Devon Achane, 7. And he's on the rise. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8. And he's on the rise. And what rounds out our top 12? Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler, Rachaad White, and Nick Chubb. From a talent perspective, and you could throw Josh Jacobs in there because he's tied with Nick Chubb for number 12. But what this helps us do is understand how talented a player is. Well, what makes a player talented? Production and efficiency. Production and efficiency. And when you can be efficient in the face of production, then you're even more talented. And that's why players like Breece Hall, who are efficient even with 15, 20, 25 touches per game, they grade out higher. And then the team score. Well, what makes up the team score, you might ask? Well, the team score is made up of a set of sub-scores. What's important to helping a player produce fantasy points? Opportunity, their role on the offense. That's an element of their team environment. The competition at their position and the other positions that garner targets on the field. Raylan Allen, Israel Banakanda, Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, Mike Williams, Tyler Conklin. Everybody's competing for touches. So how talented are you relative to your competition? He's very talented, so he scores out very highly. O-line, the O-line impacts protection, impacts the ability to create running lanes, impacts the ability to sustain drives. So that's all important to a player's ability to score fantasy points. Quarterback play. In the case of Breece Hall, he's got Aaron Rodgers. And then the coaching staff. Do they call good plays? Do they call bad plays? Do they keep drives alive? Generally, it's the players that matter most, but coaching does matter a little bit. So there you have an idea of the inputs that generate the outputs for the team score. So Breece Hall grades out an 8.46. His team environment ranks him the number 6. He ranks number 6 in terms of team environment. He's behind guys like Pacheco, Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, and that kind of makes sense. He's got a little, he's got a little bit weighing him down with the O-line, with the coaching, with the little bit of an emergence with Braylon Allen. They're kind of capping his ceiling there. So yeah, he's got a good team environment, but it's not the most elite. So you take that team score, you combine it with the talent score, and you weight those scores appropriately, and you arrive at the overall fantasy fitness score for player X, in this case, Breece Hall. And we can feel confident starting Breece each and every week, knowing that he is A, the second most talented running back in the league, and B, in a fairly conducive team environment for putting up fantasy points. So collectively, he ranks number 2. And he's going to be in everybody's lineup. Now, this is an obvious one because Breece, most people that play fantasy football know that Breece is good. But it gets more difficult, right? And that's where the ability to create a database, create algorithms, and store this information and then use it to make decisions helps you win your fantasy football leagues. Now, again, it's early and I'm tuning this algorithm, but I'm much more equipped to make good choices and win my leagues and, quite frankly, dominate my leagues than my league mates. They don't have this information at their disposal. They might have a ranking list from ESPN or something they saw on Twitter, and that's great. And that stuff can all be useful. But data and having that data at your fingertips, being able to compare 2 players, like how good is Breece Hall compared to Brian Robinson? I think that's a question, not necessarily compare these 2 players, but how good is Brian Robinson? Well, let's compare him to an elite player and someone that we know is elite in Breece Hall. Well, as it turns out, similar height, weight. Brian Robinson's older. Brian Robinson got drafted later, so the NFL scouts don't think they're as talented. Experience is the same, and Breece is significantly faster. Overall, 8.89 versus 8.06, so he's an RB2, mid-range RB2, where he's a top-end RB1. Talent-wise, number 2 overall versus number 23 overall. Well, who's around him in a talent basis? He's around guys like Jonathan Brooks, J.K. Dobbins, Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Swift. Kind of makes sense. Joe Mixon, that's kind of his range. I think that feels about right. And that's what the data is telling us. Team score, strong, mid-range RB2 range in terms of team environment. He'd be around guys like David Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara. It's a good range to be in. You combine those 2 together, and he's a mid-range RB2, back end RB2. That's just a solid starter every week. Who's getting more attempts per game? Well, we can see he gets slightly more attempts, about the same amount of rushing, and he comes in just under in touchdowns. But here's the distinguishing factor: 4 versus 2, double the yardage, same amount of touchdowns. So, I think what this tells me is that Brian Robinson is sneaky good. He's sneaky good, and the data can help you sort of discern this. You get this guy in the 9th round in drafts. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, let's take a quick look at my FFPC team where I took Brian Robinson on this team, and I got him. Where did I get him? I took him off the board as the 37th running back off the board. The 37th running back. People made bets over Brian Robinson. The fact that this could go Dowdle over Brian Robinson is a certified joke. The fact that this guy took Blake Corum over Brian Robinson when he's going to be a back-end play is a certified joke. Tajay Spears, somewhat justifiable. Certified joke, certified joke, certified joke. And I don't know that I would have been able to make this choice or discern these things 2 or 3 years ago if I was just looking at pieces of paper and rankings and, listening to talking heads and trying to keep all this information straight in my brain. Like, really? That's what we're doing? And then I come over here and I can go Brian Robinson. Let's go find B-Rob. He's RB20 or thereabouts. Let's say we're wrong. Let's say he's RB16 or 18. Let's say he's RB25. Even so, we took him off the board at RB37. That's why this data is so useful. Now I have an edge. And in this one, let's see, J.K. Dobbins. Let's see, where does Dobbins fall here? Talent-wise, RB25. Team environment, RB22. Overall score, RB21. We got J.K. Dobbins. We'll do it again. RB47, folks. RB47. And say what you want about Gibson, RB60. RB39. Just extracting value, and extracting value. Now, there were some mistakes that were made here too, but there was still some good process. Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams, RB wide receiver 20 and 32. Let's see how they score out. Cooper. I have him at 30. Got him at 32, so not anything significant there. And then Devontae Adams. Wide receiver 8. Comes off the board at wide receiver 20. Kind of got an idea now on how this works and how it can be useful and why I'm dominating the majority of my fantasy football leagues. No, I'm not going to win every league because injuries will snake bite a team and you're not going to win every league. But the edges, they're showing up. They're showing up on my rosters. I'm winning leagues and you can too. And that takes us right to 11 o'clock. I hope you guys enjoyed this lead up to kickoff. I'm going to do this every Sunday. So I hope my audience grows. Be posting content throughout the week. and we'll be doing reviews of my teams Monday or Tuesday to talk about the teams that won and lost, what went well, what didn't go well, where I made mistakes in my start sits. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Take care, everybody, and good luck with your teams this week.